Welcome back everyone, Meanpooh here, and this weekend I got a chance to play Dead by Daylight. This game has been out for a little while. It was released on June 14th, 2016 for PC and released for the Xbox and PlayStation a little over a year later. Since this is a 1 versus 4 game, you can play either as a killer or survivor. There are 14 survivors to pick from, each having their own set of special traits and perks. The goal of the survivors are to escape the enclosed area. This is done by repairing generators that power box switches, which power 2 escape routes that lead out of the area. There is also a hatch that can appear, and depending on how many survivors are left, will require a key. The survivors are made up of characters such as nerds, athletes, survivalists, old soldiers, and rugged scrappers, etc. Each one of these characters have a pretty decent background that you can read up on if you get a chance. It's really worth a read. These are typical stereotypes and you may find one that suits you. The survivors have perks that give them special abilities meant to facilitate fulfilling their respective objectives. Perks are used by both the killers and the survivors. They grant an individual bonuses and once unlocked will never be lost. You can choose up to 4 perks per trial, assuming that all perk slots have been unlocked, which is dependent on your character's level. Some examples of perks are Ace in a Hole, which when a character retrieves an item from a chest, there is a 100% chance that an add-on of very rare rarity or lore will be attached to it. Another, such as Botany Knowledge, lets you transform plants found around the campfire into tinctures that slow down bleeding. And lastly, Calm Spirit, which reduces your chances of alerting crows. It lets animals stay calm in your presence, like the game Hunt Showdown. If you are too loud, then the birds or whatever is around you will make a lot of noise and alert the enemy of where your location is. There is an extensive list of killers, some of them very unsightly and gruesome. And like the survivors, they have a pretty interesting background that's also worth a read. The ones that were unlocked when I played were the Trapper, the Wraith, the Hillbilly, and the Nurse. I think it may be one more, but I'm not sure. Unlike the survivors, which can sneak and run, the killers only have 1 speed, and most of the time it's faster than any survivor can run. When hunting the survivors, you must capture them by either striking them twice with your weapon or catching them hiding in closets or lockers. You can even get them jumping out of windows. Once caught, you have to sacrifice the survivors to an entity, a malevolent being which rules over the realm in which Dead by Daylight takes place. You must put them on meat hooks, which looks very painful. They are located throughout the trial grounds and are used to start the sacrifice process. If the survivor can't escape, the survivor will die. Sometimes the survivor can struggle, which will delay the sacrifice process while on the hook and give time for help to arrive. Survivors can also make use of a handful of items. Searching chests inside buildings will sometimes yield medikits, which allow the survivors to heal themselves rather than wait for a teammate. Flashlights, which can be used to temporarily blind the killer and rescue a survivor that the killer is carrying. Toolboxes, which can be used to both repair generators faster and to temporarily sabotage hooks and bear traps. Keys, they do a variety of things depending on their add-ons and may be used to open the hatch that allows you to escape. Survivors have the ability to see the aura of down and hooked teammates and can see the locations of newly repaired generators and the exit gates for a short period of time once all necessary generators are repaired. When the killer is near, the survivors will hear a heartbeat and eventually tense music, both of which increase the intensity with proximity to the killer. They can also see a red light called the red stain. It emanates from the killer's head, which reveals the direction which they are facing. The game takes place across 11 realms, which are based on the places the killers became murderers. Some of them are the Macmillan Estate, the Foundry, the Mine, Groaning Storehouse, Coldwind Farm, and many more. The game also has DLC, which introduces even more characters such as Laurie Strode, Leatherface, Freddy, and many others. Dead by Daylight didn't have any settings to choose display-wise, and it just looked like a weird resolution. I could tell because the overlay was kind of large. When I started editing the video, the software was reporting the game was running at 1536 by 864. That's one funky resolution. Anyway, the standard presets were there along with auto adjust. So without further ado, here's what I got. Personally, if you ask me, medium would be the best way to go. Even though low was looking pretty good, and look, it only had like 1.5 FPS higher, but the GPU and the CPU temperatures were lower, but it doesn't look too good. So I would go with medium. All the settings were 1536 by 864 except for the high at the end, and I just added the auto adjust. I just ticked that, and it really didn't make any difference. Just comparing the high to the high auto adjust to the high that was normal, it lowered the temperature a little bit, just a tad bit, but we lost FPS though. So that 1536 by 864 high with auto adjust was pretty, I mean, it's not pointless because we can see what was going on, but you know, if you want to play this game, just play it at medium. And I really don't understand the resolution of the game itself. It's weird. I've never seen it before. In my opinion, I thought the game was pretty good. It is scary at times when you are being hunted by the killer. The music it gets intense, and sometimes I think it's a trait that the killer has. It can project itself in front of you and make you change direction, and it's actually not the killer. It's like a projection. I thought that was pretty cool. You can actually move pallets in front of the killer if they're trying to get you. I wasn't able to do that, and I thought that was pretty cool to block the killer's path to get you. I thought that was pretty cool too. It takes a while to get used to the gameplay. When you first jump in, it will seem kind of hard. I almost quit and was like, what a waste. But I played a little bit longer, and it was kind of fun. I think it's better to play as the killer. Being a killer, you can only look out of the first person view, and Survivor, you can, as far as I know, only look out of the third person view. I thought that's a different type of change. And when you're repairing things, there's like I don't want to say it's a quick time event, but as you keep repairing for so long, there will be a bar, like a circle. It will start moving, and the sound that it makes when it starts might scare you, and you'll look around and probably will want to run, but it's like a little mini game. If the circle, like you will have a circle, and the little hand will move around, and it has to get right in the middle of a section, and then you will have to push the appropriate button on the keypad or the keyboard. And if you miss, like if you're on the generator, then the generator looks like it'll explode, or it will just make a bunch of noise and allow the killer to know exactly where you're at. I thought that was pretty decent too. You can hide. I've heard of people hiding in closets and hiding in lockers, and the killer can't find them, and they win the game. I think they win it by the killer rage quits. Yeah, they hide and the killer rage quits, and then they win the game some type of way. I thought that's different. But other than that, it's a decent game if you catch it on sale. Anyway, in closing, if the video helps you, feel free to like and subscribe. There's a list of all my hardware in the description box. And if you would like to support the channel, buy from the links that I have listed. And I'll see you in the next game. Meanpooh, out.